Everything's okay, Andy.
Dude, everything's better than okay. I'm actually having a great news day. I don't know about you, but I've been giggling about the news for the last 7 hours. How's your day
Yeah,
going?
it's going. It's
Yeah.
going. Yeah, I
So
feel like the Elon thing has been I'm so glad. How we should go back and figure out when, because I think we both like called like 2 or 3 months. We're like, it's not gonna last long.
no, so I said that it would never be a bad breakup and that they would both go their separate ways because they both have dirt on each other was my thought. So like they
Okay.
would eventually get sick of each other, but it would never get to where they were like sparring on Twitter, verbally. That's what I said. I think I
But
was
now they are.
wrong. Okay, so I want to set this up real quick, okay? There was a big story. I think we talked about it last time, but a big New York Times story came out that was about Elon's drug use on the campaign trail, okay? And
Hmm.
they had a lot of sources in that. So clearly, people in the Trump circle, people in the campaign, people on his staff, whatever, people that were on the plane with Trump between rally stops were talking to these reporters. So
Right.
right there, if you're Elon, you just left the White House. There's talk, there's room, like leaked reports keep coming out. One of them is that Trump apparently asked a couple of his advisors, like Lutnick and Bissent, he asked them, was it all bullshit? Meaning like the Elon cuts. Like, did he really not find anything? That story came out in the last couple of days. The Elon drug story came out. And then there's some senators and House representatives on the Republican side that are kind of saying to reporters like, "Hey, this does add to the debt, but it's because we thought Elon was going to find 2 trillion, and he didn't do it. He didn't find his 2 trillion. So there is, if you're Elon, it's reasonable to think that you're about to get thrown under the bus. Like it's setting up that way to where it's looking like he's going to take the fall.
I kind of think he already has been getting thrown on the bus,
He
just
and
like
that
slowly but surely. Yeah.
So he finally today, and on that the Sunday morning interview that just came out like 2 days ago, there was the thing where he kind of said he goes, I don't really like the big beautiful bill. I don't like that it adds to the debt. He was nice about it. He said he didn't like it, but he didn't throw any punches. And then today, out of nowhere, he had three tweets in a row that like I quite enjoyed, and like I wanted to get popcorn. So I think you have this picture. If you could pull this up real quick. All right, so here are the three posts from Elon, and out of the blue, and I don't know of anything in the news this morning that caused him to get upset, but he said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. The massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those of you who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Okay, before we move on real quick, that's got to piss off every House Republican because they didn't really want to vote for this bill and defend it, but they basically did it under the assumption that they were going to be given cover by Trump and his allies. That they
Yep.
no, so then second bill, second tweet, it will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to 2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushing unsustainable debt.
Oh
Final
my
tweet.
gosh.
Final tweet. In November next year, we fire all the politicians who betrayed the American people. So that
Yes.
is all the House representatives except for Thomas Massey voted for this. Okay. Now I don't think he's really going to primary all them, but if you're a congressional Republican that like it's like, oh, how do you want me to sell this to my constituents that we're going to raise the debt, blah blah blah, and Trump was pushing on that, and he was probably saying, hey, we got your back, don't worry, like we're going to protect you, and now Elon comes out swinging. Shockingly, Trump has not responded to this that I've seen. I haven't seen a tweet about it or anything, which makes me think that Elon knows where the bodies are buried. Like, there's some stuff Elon has where Trump kind of can't go after him.
Well, maybe. We'll see. I have a feeling they're going to come after him hard. I mean, at least call him a drug addict, or I don't know. I have no idea. I like that Elon's doing this. I'm very excited because this big beautiful bill is big beautiful bullshit, right?
Again, you think that they're going to change the bill in a way that's better for you? No,
No.
they're going to change the bill in a way that's even worse for what you want. I'm just telling you. So
Oh. So, I've been calling every day. I've been calling at least one. More days than not, I call like 2 to 3 of our senators and our House members, and I
yeah,
leave a voicemail telling them not to vote for this bill. I even told one that I was going to run against him. I
I'm
was
sure
like, I was
he's
like, if you
probably
vote for this, I'm going to run against you.
he's scared to death right now. I'm
I
sure
know,
he's
I
quaking.
know.
Yeah. So I
But
wish there
every
was.
day. I'm just calling him, and I urge everybody to call him. I even put it um
The show
in
notes last
the
time.
title of our, not the title, but the description of our last video. The
Okay.
phone number for the what is it? The U.S. Capitol switchboard. And I'll repeat it again. It's 202-224-3121.
Okay.
Call
Yeah,
them and
they're
annoy
working for
them.
you. They're your representative. You should get to call and tell them.
Exactly.
I wish that they had town halls as regular as they're supposed to, as they used to up until the last decade, because you could just go to the town hall and tell them what you think face to face, and none of them do it hardly. I think they do like one or two a year.
They're
Speaking of
doing them
that,
right now, and I've been seeing them, and they're kicking people out.
yeah, that's been going on for a while. By the way,
Yeah.
we real quick we talked about Joni Ernst last time. She's the one where somebody in her town hall said, "People are gonna die," and she kind of got frustrated. She said, "We're all gonna die," and she took some
We're
heat for
all gonna.
that. There's this whole rule in like when you screw up like that, just don't comment on it, and something else will come up, and everybody will lose focus on it. You never go back and readdress it. She went
Right.
back like 2 days later and did a video in a cemetery where she was like, I want to sincerely apologize. I wasn't aware that there were people in the audience that weren't aware that we're all going to die one day. Like, I'm glad I didn't have to explain the tooth fairy to them. And then she turned it into a religious thing. It was like, if you want everlasting life, you should consider my Lord and Savior. Like, why? Like, stop. Like, her communications people must have told her to do that, but I'm sure everybody else was like, stop. Like, if she would have just not said anything, that would have gone away. But for some reason, she purposely wanted to keep that in the spotlight. I don't know
She
why.
wants to own the libs. She's trying to own the libs.
She's
She
not
wants
very
to,
good at
they
it.
all, like, this is the problem, is a lot of them want to be in the spotlight. Like
Yeah.
Lo and Bear and
God.
what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene. They want to be
Yeah.
in the spotlight all the time. Matt Gaetz. They want that spotlight because it
So
drives up. I mean, I don't know. Are they selling stuff on their Instagrams?
So when this comes back to the House, Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted like yesterday, because you know there's that whole section in the big beautiful bill that says that the states cannot regulate AI for 10 years. I guess enough people got to her about that, so she tweeted and she said, her tweet basically said, "Full disclosure, I did not read the section in the bill that dealt with this, the 10-year," and she was like, "I will not vote on it when it comes back to the House unless that's removed." So hopefully
Okay. I
there's
mean
some push behind
that's
that.
probably something that they put in there to negotiate, right? So they're putting stuff
Yeah.
in so that they can pull out negotiation tactics.
I think they put it in hoping that nobody would notice, and I won't be shocked if her and other people that are saying they won't vote for it, if it comes back and it's still in there and then they end up voting for it. Like, I won't be
Well, they
shocked at
didn't
all.
even do no tax on tips or no tax on Social
So,
Security.
no tax on tips got passed independently of the big beautiful bill in the Senate, and it's got to go to the House. I don't think that actually is in the bill though. Anyhow, let's get back to Elon real quick so I can put a bow on this. This is a really crappy recording, but Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, they catch him right. So apparently, the House Republicans in the House and the Republicans in the Senate have like lunches 2 to 3 times a week where it's like the whole conference. So they were all in there having lunch when Elon tweeted this. Also, Carolyn Levitt was at the podium, like doing a press conference, and the guy from Fox, Ducey, he got to ask her about it. She didn't really have it wasn't a response worthy of polling, but I'm curious to see tomorrow what she'll say after she gets a chance to talk to Trump about what he wants to say about it. Anyhow, Manu Raju from CNN, I think is his name, caught Mike Johnson in the hall. Here is a real quick response from Mike Johnson to Elon.
But with all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill. We had a long conversation yesterday, he and I. Spoke for, I think, more than 20 minutes on the telephone, and I extolled all the virtues of the bill. It's a very important first start. Elon is missing it, okay? And it's not personal. I know that the EV mandate, very important to him, that is going away because the government should not be subsidizing these things as part of the Green New Deal. And I know that has an effect on his business, and I lament that. We talked about the ramp down period on that and how that should be duly considered by Congress. But for him to come out and pan the whole bill is to me just very disappointing, very surprising in light of the conversation I had with him yesterday.
Do you think that it's Tesla is what's driving this? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm going to let others draw their own conclusions about that, but this is not personal between any of us. I just deeply regret that he's made this mistake.
He said it's not personal way too many times for it not to actually be
Yeah.
personal.
Well, and the fact that he talked to him yesterday and thought everything was cool, and then Elon woke up today. Now, what he said there, one of the key things he said there is he said that the EV tax credits are all going away because they're killing all the Green New Bill stuff. So right now, if you buy a Tesla, you get a huge tax rebate or whatever, so it makes it more affordable, and that's going away. And like, you know how we always say Elon is heavily government subsidized? Basically,
Mm,
Elon is losing one of his government subsidies if this passes. So that there might be a lot of honesty to that. The reason he's upset
okay.
might, and to smooth this over, even though, so if they throw the EV tax credit back in, that will make the bill even more about debt. Like it'll be way over
Yeah.
budget. But that's one way they could get Elon to shut up and get on board. So the pay attention. There might be like if they put it back in for all EVs, I honestly wouldn't have a problem with it. But what if they find a way to do a carve out to where it's just Teslas?
Oh my gosh.
That's going to piss off GM for it. I don't even know if they could consider doing that. I'm speculating out loud.
This is such a nightmare. We're all being screwed over on this bill.
Yeah. So
Like hardcore. And it's really weird. It's really weird. It's like, have you noticed that like they're willing to spend money on deporting people?
that's the
They're
most
willing to spend
important thing.
money.
That's the most important problem our nation is facing right now, according to the right. We can't do
Yeah.
anything until we get all the immigrants out. Which
I keep
again,
watching all these videos of like women screaming and crying because their mothers are being taken up by
yeah.
ICE. These older ladies, these like grandmothers who are just being like snatched up by ICE. And all the ICE people are wearing masks and they don't want to show their face because they know they're in the wrong, but they're being paid. I think they're getting like $42,000 bonus each. So they're paying extra on top of that. Homeland Security is going over budget. It's going to be over budget in 2 months.
Mhm.
And yet the Department of Education is trying to not spend the money that's allocated to them.
Yeah, which Linda McMahon was in front of Congress this morning, like a House hearing or maybe a Senate hearing, and man, she is so unknowledgeable about her Department of Education. They were asking her pretty basic questions, and she's like, I don't know." They're like, "Well, just
Yeah.
guess. When do you think this happened?" I don't know. Like, anyhow, it was a very wasted hearing. But as far as the deportations, like the part that kills me is like new jobs reports came out today, and now it wasn't the full jobs report, but it showed how many open jobs there are, and there's 7.5 million open jobs right now in the economy, and they're jobs that we don't want. It's the jobs that the immigrant labor force would take up, and
Yeah.
that's going to start biting us in the butt real quick, where we're like, we need people to do those jobs, like. Most Americans don't want to get caught dead having to do some of this manual labor. The people coming across the border will. Now, let's go back
Yeah.
and say we should know who's coming across our border, and everybody that comes across should go through a system. And blah, I'm all about that. But like, we need those
Sure.
people to keep our economy running. And like, Republicans know that, and that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
They
But
understand
they're
it.
also standing outside of courtrooms, and when people are going in for their actual hearing to become citizens, they're pulling them out and arresting
Yep.
them,
Yeah.
which is really messed up. Like they're actually trying to be law-abiding citizens and go through the process, and they're being deported
Yeah,
because
they're
of that.
they're deporting people that like have done it the right way so far. Like they're not citizens yet, but they got on paper. They've showed up to all their cases. Like they're waiting on their next hear or appearance, I guess, in front of a judge, and they're just getting scooped up. And they're like, "Nope, you're illegal. You're out of here." And there's no, they didn't. Anyhow,
Yeah.
I
But have you seen that the like people are actually fighting against ICE? Like whole neighborhoods are like
that was in like
chanting them down and pushing them out of their neighborhood.
So in San Diego, I think that happened where they literally pushed ICE out of the neighborhood. And then in Missouri, a little podunk community in Missouri, like full of white people, there's some Asian lady who's been there for like 20 years and everybody loves, and the whole community is like, no, 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 we didn't mean her. Like they're pleading with like, they're like, no, don't take her. We love her. And it's like, well, she's illegal. Like she's not even on paper. Like she came in 20, 25 years ago and just never got on paper. I'm not saying she
Yeah.
should be gone, but yeah, it's kind of funny where there's several circuit and that I've seen more and more videos recently with the hurricanes and not hurricanes, excuse me, the tornadoes in like the southeast where they're asking for FEMA assistance and they're interviewing these MAGA voters that are like, the federal government ain't been here at all. They're not helping us. And it's like, yeah, no, we're not approving that anymore. The state should take care of
Yeah.
themselves.
Yep.
Which real quick, you sent me a video. I pulled it for the show, but a video I think from a local NBC affiliate of a weather guy. Let's check that out real quick.
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And as you've grown accustomed to my presentations over my 34 years in South Florida newscasts, confidently, I went on TV and I told you, it's going to turn. You don't need to worry. It is going to turn. And I am here to tell you that I'm not sure I can do that this year. because of the cuts, the gutting, the sledgehammer attack on science in general, and I could talk about that for a long, long time, and how that is affecting the U.S. Leadership in science over many years, and how we're losing that leadership, and this is a multi-generational impact on science in this country. All right, but specifically, let's talk about the federal government cuts to the National Weather Service and to NOAA. Did you know that Central and South Florida National Weather Service offices are currently basically 20 to 40% understaffed? From Tampa to Key West, including the Miami office, 20 to 40% understaffed. Now, this type of staffing shortage is having impacts across the nation because there's been a nearly 20% reduction in weather balloon releases, launches, that carry those radiosondes. And what we're starting to see is that the quality of the forecasts is becoming degraded. There's also a chance, because of some of these cuts, that NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft will not be able to fly this year, and with less reconnaissance missions, we may be flying blind, and we may not exactly know how strong a hurricane is before it reaches the coastline, like happened a couple of years ago in Hurricane Otis in Acapulco, Mexico. So I was asked to talk about this today. I'm glad I was. I just want you to know that what you need to do is call your representatives and make sure that these cuts are stopped. Back to you.
That's exactly what I was telling you at the end of the last episode. Like NWS, NOAA, FEMA is. Let me say real quick. Did you see that we have a new director of FEMA? He's formerly of the Department of Defense. I can't remember what he did there. Apparently, that's not uncommon. A lot of FEMA is getting people and equipment into place, and it's like coordination of that. So someone from the Department of Defense isn't a stretch to do FEMA. But he had his first meeting yesterday with like the heads of FEMA, and it came out that he didn't know that there was a hurricane season. Like when they mentioned hurricane season, apparently he thought they were joking, and they were like, no, like we have a hurricane season and it starts in a week or two. So, yeah. So, and
we're
everything
completely screwed.
Everything that guy that knew the weather guy we were just watching had to say about not being, I can't have confidence that I'm going to be able to report accurately on what's going on. Like that should be alarming to all of us. Like, and
well, you live in Tornado Alley, and we just got through with tornado season, right?
The National Weather Station in I think it's in Norman, right outside of Oklahoma City. A bunch of people got cut and funding got cut from there, and then our state senator and House representatives all went to Trump, and like immediately people got rehired there. So it's one of those where he's taking care of the red states, and so we in Oklahoma got away pretty clean this time because they hired all those people back.
Where was Hurricane Helene Hurricane Helene?
Helene, is that the one just last year that went up through like Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and all the flooding in North Carolina? I think
it was either South Carolina or North Carolina. Well, today Trump denied more funding for it.
They've applied like 5 times in the last 2 weeks, and he keeps denying it. And it's a Republican governor. It's a state that Trump won, so it's a state he should be helping out. But we just don't have the money for it. He's part of the Doge cuts was FEMA and all that, so we just we're not doing it. So. And
the states are going to have to take care of themselves. I mean, and California is going to have wildfire seasons coming up. Colorado's going to have wildfire season. Like,
yeah,
this could get bad really quick with hurricane followed by wildfire season. Winter is kind of the slow month for natural disasters, but we've got the 2 biggest seasons coming up. Probably, I bet wildfire season is the most expensive natural disaster season that we have in America here.
It depends because a lot of times wildfires hit like not the heavily populated areas. Most of the time, like the one in California last year was obviously, not hit the very populated areas. But the hurricanes are indiscriminate, man. They hit populated, unpopulated, like they'll just hit everything. So I got to think, I'll bet if we looked it up, hurricanes cause more damage. Not positive on that. I do have one last video. This is on the other thing. So let me go back real quick. So Elon doesn't like the bill. Certain senators don't like the bill. They want it to put us less in debt. So the 2 options would be to raise taxes on the rich, which ain't going to happen, or find more places to cut. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the basically Obamacare. Those have already been cut a lot. Odds are that's where they're going to cut more from. So just get ready for that. Here's John Thune explaining what you can do instead of getting health care. This is from... Oh, it's this one from ABC, a local affiliate.
That's a rising tide lifts all the boats. And, the best for people who are looking for health care, the best health care is a job. And a lot of times health care comes with a job. And so creating those better paying jobs that come with benefits is ultimately the goal here.
So The way they're trying to play it out is instead of giving you health care, we're going to give you a job, and therefore a job automatically gives you health care. Well, a couple quick stats on that. 30% of American jobs do not offer health care at all, and 40 this is amazing. 49% of employed Americans cannot afford health care without going into debt. So even if you have some form of health care, if you actually use it, you're going to be put into debt. So, and I had something like that happen 5 years ago, where luckily I had really good health care, and I ended up only having to pay 9 grand out of pocket for basically a 2.5 week hospital stay. And like
Hmm.
that 9 grand, I don't have 9 grand sitting around most of the time. So I was happy to be able to take care of that without going into medical debt for it. But
Right.
anyhow,
Right.
so
Yeah, that's insane.
so get ready because that's where we're heading is more healthcare cuts and possibly
What
bring.
was that total bill for that 2.5 week visit?
It would have been 950 or 900 like $67,000, something like that.
So
That's
a
what.
million dollars.
Yeah, dude, the most expensive part was the anesthesiologist. Like I remember we were trying to break it down, and like the anesthesiologist cost more than like my 2.5 week stay in the hospital. Like if that dude got paid.
Huh.
So
Okay.
anyhow, yeah.
Okay. Maybe I should get
Yeah.
into that.
we should just get into that. I'm sure it's easy. So anyhow, that's all I got on the big beautiful bill. I'm so curious to see how Trump responds tomorrow, if he responds at all. Something tells me Elon's not just going to quickly back down on this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Elon's going to keep shit posting until he gets somebody to respond to him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to keep shit posting, and I think it's going to go back and forth. I think Trump is weighing his options right now. I think he probably wanted to immediately respond, and someone was like, "Hold off.
Yeah.
Let's strategize. Let's figure this out," because I feel like there's still a lot of people that are on the Elon train, right? They're on the Elon train, but not on the Trump train
You know
per
how we've
se.
you know how we've had this discussion about like who could win, Elon versus Trump or Rogan versus Trump, and like it's kind of always a hypothetical. And like the thing is, Elon has the big mouthpiece. He's got Twitter. Like he can control what the public is seeing. Like right now, we're going to talk about Palantir here in a minute. It's the company Peter Thiel owns. But
Oh my God.
I'll see tweets on Palantir and then I want to go back and find him. And if you go onto Twitter and search Palantir, like it brings up very little. Like I think he's like,
Oh really?
yeah, he's like skewing the search where people can't search out information on that company. We'll talk about that. Let's get to that in a
Wow.
minute.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
hold off
I'm
on that. That's a teaser for a couple minutes from now.
Oof, teasing.
Real
Teasing.
quick, I only got two things on trade real quick and tariffs. Trump has officially extended the pause. He extended it again until August 31st. So he's buying more time with China. China is still continuing to make deals with everybody but us. But I mentioned last time that somebody was saying Trump was going to send out letters to the other nations, and we didn't really know what those letters were going to say. Since then, we have found out that basically the White House is sending letters to all 182 or 92 nations, and the letter basically says we need your best offer by Wednesday at like 6 o'clock, whatever it is, Wednesday at a certain time. So Carolyn Levitt got asked about this today. I can't stand her. Here is Carolyn Levitt from Fox.
Reuters was reporting that there is a letter that is meant to be sent to other countries, which would give these countries a deadline of Wednesday to produce their best offer on the trade matter. Why does the administration feel the need to send this letter? And I have one more follow-up on trade.
Sure, I can confirm the merits in the content of the letter. USTR sent this letter to all of our trading partners just to give them a friendly reminder that the deadline is coming up. And they are in talks. Ambassador Greer, Secretary Bessent, and Secretary Lutnick are in talks with many of our key trading partners around the globe. As you know, Brian, I know the Wall Street Journal has covered this quite heavily. And they continue to be engaged in those discussions. And this letter was simply to remind these countries that the deadline is approaching and the president expects good deals, and we are on track for that, I will emphasize.
If they sent that letter out, do you think they're really on track for it? Do you think things are going great if they had to send a letter to every country saying, hey, reminder, the deadline's approaching? No, and she said that it was a reminder that the deadline's approaching. The letter actually said you have till Wednesday. So we're moving up the deadline on them. Yeah, we want your best offer by Wednesday. What this comes down to is Trump is desperate for a deal. They still haven't announced a single deal. He wants to announce anything. So he's hoping that some countries will offer a sweet enough deal to where he can say, hey, look, I got this done and this is better than it used to be. I'm
Which
curious.
Wednesday?
Today,
What Wednesday?
tomorrow, The 4th.
Tomorrow's the deadline?
Yeah, tomorrow he wants their best. He wants written submission of their best offer by tomorrow. They just moved up the deadline. It was supposed to be 90 deals in 90 days. 90 days was still almost a month from now. A month and a week roughly is what they should have had. And now we moved up the timeline and said we want your written best offer by Wednesday, which they sent it out on Monday. So they gave everybody 2 days to give us your best offer. That means things aren't going well. I don't anybody that wants to try to spin that and say that the negotiations are going so great, we decided to do this. I'd love to hear how somebody could spin that. So
Okay, let's think really darkly here. What is the
okay.
worst thing that could happen to the United States, to us, with all this trade deal? Like nobody wants to trade with us. Nobody has any. We don't have
Yeah,
deals with anybody anymore.
that's and I think that everybody is still. I think, especially with the recent court rulings, I think nobody's eager to give in to us right now. They're standing pat. They want to stand firm and
Well,
make.
let's say Trump does make a deal. Like how do they know he's going to stick by it? Like
They
he's just
don't.
gonna.
Yeah.
They don't, right? He could just up and say, "Never mind, I'm just going to do 100% tariffs on you tomorrow."
What do you think the odds are that the other countries were like calling around, going, "Hey, what are you gonna say?" And like I bet a lot of countries coordinated.
100%.
Like, are you gonna
100%.
are you gonna give him a good deal? No, no, screw him. Let's all give him a media, or let's just give him the baseline deal that we already have, or whatever.
Well, I think they've all coordinated. They're not going to give him the 90 days. Like he said, 90
Yeah.
deals in 90 days. He's going to get zero in 90 days, and he's going to
He,
look like a fool.
I still
Like
say
he's making us look like a fool, and the rest of the world is going to make him look like a fool, right?
he's got to get a couple of them. There's a couple countries like there's countries with like leaders that love him, like the guy in South
Okay,
America that's the Trump
sure.
of the tropics. Like there's
Yeah,
some countries where he's gonna, and I can't believe he hasn't done those yet. Like that's amazing to me that he hasn't.
yeah.
But like some deals will happen.
Saudi Arabia? I don't know.
That one you would think would have happened by now. Which Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE all just signed that deal with China like less than a week ago. So I don't know. Even India, apparently they keep saying they're close on India, but I was reading something that like there's a lot of things like India gets all of its military hardware from Russia. Like that's who supplies them,
Yeah.
and we don't like that. And apparently that's one of our things is you need to start buying all your stuff from us. But for them to do that, they would basically have to just like sell or get rid of everything. They couldn't have half and half. You couldn't have some
Mm,
Soviet stuff. It needs to be all the same ammo. So like
right.
they would have to like ditch everything they have and buy like restock, and it would pump a lot of money into our economy and the industrial military complex. But like they don't want to do that. So we have some pretty ridiculous demands for India that they're not going to do, and we're going to have to back down off of those. But I bet that's what's happening with all these other countries.
Yeah.
Is we probably started off with like a completely unserious, ridiculous offer with the
Yeah.
intent that we're okay. Now we're going to negotiate,
No,
and
no, hold on. He doesn't have any offers. That's the thing. He's not
no,
demanding anything. He's saying, "What do you have to give me?"
that's what
Like,
most countries have reported, but apparently when it comes to India, we did have some. We had a list
oh,
of
okay.
demands. So that makes me
Okay.
think there's probably a couple countries that they targeted that said, "Hey, we need to get these 5 or these 10 or whatever it is," and probably hit them with a list of demands that those countries all probably laughed at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care. Nobody needs us. What do they
Yeah.
need from us? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So we're
We'll see.
basically out in the cold at this point. And here's another thing is why does Trump get to negotiate trade deals with other countries? Like if I'm a business and I'm making, let's just say I'm Apple and I'm an American company, I'm making computers and I'm selling them across the world and I'm making them in China and selling them across the world. Why does Trump get to dictate anything? Like it's not free trade, right? Isn't that a Republican standpoint? Like
That's Republicans are
free trade.
they're very anti-tariffs. Like it's the Democrats who traditionally like tariffs, and Republicans hate it, and they let the free market decide. Like that's their big
Yeah, but
thing.
Democrats like tariffs when it's a negotiating tactic, when
Or
it's
when
actually
it's
a way to.
there is a place for tariffs, and it's when you're trying to protect a vital industry. The steel industry in America is a perfect one. You need to be able to make certain things under times of war. You need to be able to make certain things at home, and in order to do that, you might have to tariff other countries so that they don't like drown out your industry at home. There is a place for tariffs.
Yeah.
Across the board tariffs on shit that we don't make here, grow here, whatever. We have no intent to. That doesn't make any sense. That's just yeah. Which Trump announced today, it was like, oh, we took in a record like $23.6 billion in tariffs in the month of April, I think it was. And everybody on the right is celebrating that. And it's like, that's a $23 billion tax increase on Americans. Like those other countries didn't pay that. Like, congratulations, you had the single largest 1 month tax increase in American history. That's what that really was. But good luck trying to explain that to anybody, is all I'll say. So,
That's insane.
yeah.
That's just insane to me.
Well, moving
Hmm.
on. All right, so there's one other thing I wanted to chat about. There's a lot, but the next thing, um, we talked about Israel a little bit last time. There's one thing that we have avoided talking about so far, and it hasn't been on purpose, but I feel like we're going to talk about Israel. There's a side note about it that we have to talk about. Okay, um, the pro Palestine, free Palestine violence happening right now is hurting the cause. Okay. It was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We had the young couple that was murdered on the doorsteps of a DC building of some kind. They were leaving a banquet, and a dude shot him and killed
I think
him.
it was like, was it the Israeli
Israeli
embassy in
embassy. Yeah, I
DC?
think it was.
Yeah.
But shot him and killed him and then immediately yelled "Free Palestine." And while he was getting arrested, he was yelling "Free Palestine." That's not helping your cause. You had a guy was it in Boulder just the other day that
Yeah.
I'm not making light of this. Terrible situation. When I first saw the reports, it said that he had a homemade flamethrower, and immediately I was intrigued. I was like, "Oh my God, like I kind of want to see the video. What are we talking about here? Like, did he have like a gasoline pack on his back? Like what exactly did he have? Did you see the video?
I haven't seen I saw him with two Molotov cocktails in his hand,
So
shirtless, screaming about stuff, and people are surrounding him. And there's like little flame, like little fires, like kind of on the grass and stuff. And I was just like, I think he injured 8 people, but I'm guessing none of these were even like any serious
I
injuries
think
at
there was
all.
some serious ones, but what kills me is he had a Molotov cocktail and then he had like a spray bottle, like what you would buy from Home Depot to put chemicals in to spray. And I think that was the homemade. He had like a lighter and like a spray bottle. Which, here's the thing: I'm not laughing at like
I am.
people got hurt, but I was very disappointed when I heard homemade flamethrower, and then I saw him standing there with a Windex bottle, pretty much. And I was like, that's not a flamethrower. But either way, let's go back to reality here. This is not helping the cause. Like the Trump
No.
administration right now would love to make the case that pro left, pro Hamas, left is Hamas. Like
Yeah.
you're helping him make this case. Stop. And you're hurting people. Overall, you're hurting people. Stop hurting people. Hurting
Yeah.
people in the name of a free Palestine is not going to do you any
Well,
good.
hurting people in the name of, or trying to kill people in the name of other people dying is not helping anything either,
No.
right?
And I'll say this. I've seen a good amount of Democrat senators, congressmen, whatever, come out and totally disavow all this, but they all need to be doing it and loudly because Trump wants to try to tie the left to this kind of violence. So they
Yeah.
need to be.
Well, they need to disavow that, but they also need to disavow Israel.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing: is you can still you can believe that Israel is committing a genocide and doing all kinds of war crimes, but I'm telling you right now, acts like those two are the two most recent ones I can think of. Like those turn people away from your cause. If somebody was kind of open-minded, like, oh, is Israel committing a genocide, and then they see that on the news, there's a certain amount of people that are immediately going to go, oh, never mind, I'm with Israel on this. So you're
Yeah.
hurting the cause.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah. And it's not like the people here that are marching for Israel
Mm.
are committing the genocide.
No, they're pro, and there's
If you want to hurt somebody, go across go
yeah.
across the ocean and start fighting for the Palestinians.
The problem is we have really, I'm going to use the word ignorant here. I don't mean they're stupid. I mean they're ignorant to what's going on in reality. But we have ignorant people that are on the free Palestine side and ignorant people that are on the pro-Israel side. There are some, that doesn't mean all of them. I'm just saying there's a handful of ignorant ones.
Sure.
And they're just like, oh no, I stand with Israel. And they really don't know what's going on. Or maybe because of the media they watch, they're not seeing the same thing me and you were seeing. And they're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, no, Israel got attacked and they have a right to defend themselves. And they
Did
believe
you
that
did,
fully.
well, Fox News was making fun, like Greta Thunberg went over there to help feed people, and Fox News was completely making fun of her
Dude, did you
for
see
it.
that she might? Okay, I don't want to be alarmist here, but like a couple hours ago, it's her, Greta Thunberg, and like two or three actors. One of them was from Game of Thrones, and they're doing a flotilla trying to
Hmm.
break the siege of Gaza. So they're trying to like float a boat up to Gaza with food and give it to them. First of all, Greta could get raped or shot by Hamas as soon as she gets there. So like, sorry, raped. So not a smart move to go, just regardless. But
Right.
like a couple hours ago, they started putting out like videos on all social media saying that there were like drones swarming over their ship. And
Oh,
then they started sending out SOSs, and then all contact got lost. And this was as of like 2 hours
whoa.
ago. As of 2 hours ago, their radio silent. Nobody knows what happened. Um, Israel could have straight blown that ship out of the water, and it wouldn't be shocking. I'm not saying that happened. I mean, that was 2 hours ago, and I haven't seen anything on it since.
If that happens, do you think Denmark goes to war with Israel?
No, I don't know what I want to check because it's been a little while since I looked. Let me see if there's a happy resolution to this story real quick. Greta, let's see here.
While you're looking that up, I want to talk about Chuck Schumer and what a moron this guy is.
Hold on.
I'll let you look. Hold on.
So there is no new update. They're still.
Okay.
Hopefully, by the time we post this, we'll all know that they're okay.
They're
But
lost at sea.
or they got hit by a drone, which is very possible. Anyhow, that's where we're at.
Chuck Schumer needs to leave. That's where I'm at on this one. Chuck
There's
Schumer is in bed with Israel 100%. I'm convinced of it. The only thing that I think Trump is doing right is trying to negotiate with Iran,
yeah.
trying to get a
He
nuclear deal with Iran, and Chuck Schumer is like pushing his buttons to get him not to do it.
This is another one of those times where we all just need to shut up and take the win, okay? Because here's what's happening is the deal that it looks like the deal that we're about to finalize with Iran is going to be exactly like it was called the JPCOA or something like that. It was the
Hmm.
Obama deal, and the
Right.
problem that Republicans had with that is it allowed Iran to enrich uranium up to like 3.67% or something like that, and you can enrich it up to that much and use it for civilian power, but you have to enrich it to like 80% for weapons grade uranium. Okay.
Right.
Republicans and Trump said, no, 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 you can't let them enrich it at all. They can't have any nuclear program. Well, we're about to sign a new deal with them. And their red line was we have to be able to keep our civilian nuclear program. And it looks like Trump caved on that. So we're about to get a deal. They're going to get to keep their nuclear energy. And all we have to do is shut up and take the win. And we're going to be right back in the Obama Iran deal. Just take it. No, Chuck Schumer has to come out and other Democrats, and they're basically making fun of Trump before the deal gets signed, saying, ha, 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 you're signing the same deal that Obama did, blah, 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 blah. And he's going to end up backing out of it and not signing it
Yeah.
because they can't help but make fun of him for this. Like, just let him sign it. Let him, after
Yeah.
he signs it, then make fun of him, but don't make fun of him now.
Chuck Schumer needs to retire. So does Hakeem Jeffries. I'm sick of these feckless
I,
people
I
in the
like
Democratic
Hakeem.
Party.
I like Hakeem a little more than Schumer, but I don't love
Sure.
either of them. But Hakeem's a
Yeah.
little bit better than Schumer. So,
Not very much. So
yeah,
they both need to go, I think.
yeah.
In my opinion, I would get rid of both of them. I mean, they're both in districts where they could, or a Democrat's gonna win, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's just get rid of them. And on that note, let's get rid of all the old
So,
people like we talked about last time. Let's get
so
rid of everybody that's over the age of 55.
Schumer's in office till 2028. And then the rumor is that because AOC basically would be the one to challenge him for that Senate seat. So it'd be AOC over him, but we have him for 4 more years. Yeah, he just got reelected. Jeffries gets reelected every 2 years. I don't think we're in danger of him. He's going to be there. It's a matter of whether or not he's the speaker, but he's going to be
Yeah.
there. Um,
Yeah. He needs to drop down and
anyhow,
not
fun right
speak.
fun right wing fact though. I pay attention to the kind of the QAnon group on Twitter, and like Stu Peters is a guy that I watch a lot. Stu Peters is a conspiracy theorist on the right, but
Yeah.
he has gotten like that, like the far right, like the Candace Owens and Stu Peters and all them are very anti-Israel right now. I think they've always not liked the Jews, but now they're getting vocal about it. And he is
Okay.
saying that guy in Colorado is clearly as a false flag set up by Israel. That guy's an Israeli posing as a Muslim, and he's anyhow. That's his whole theory. There is that the Jews are behind the Boulder flamethrower attack. So going down that road, you know how we were talking last time about how Elon got the black eye could have been from Stephen Miller. I don't know. So
Yeah.
there's a name now for the QAnon type conspiracies on the left. Have you heard what this is?
Oh no.
Called Blue Anon conspiracies.
Blue.
Blue Anon. So, and they said that,
Okay.
and the whole,
This
I
is
wrote a whole
ridiculous.
story where like there is a rise of Blue Anon, and it's the left coming up with these like, I don't know, maybe Stephen Miller did hit him, or just where we don't have any evidence, but it's kind of, there's a part of me that's like, hey, if the right gets to make shit up, like why can't the left make shit up too? At
Sure.
the same time, I wish both sides would just not do that. But anyhow,
Yeah.
Blue
Yeah.
Anon
I wish nobody would
conspiracies.
make anything up, but we have the biggest liar as the president of the United States of America is the biggest liar in the world, probably.
Yeah. So I don't know. Blue Anon. I say we just start our own Blue Anon conspiracies.
No, you want to? We could
Yeah.
do a whole Blue and On episode.
Let's do it. I'll do some research and see what the thing is. Like
No, we have to make our own up.
like
We start riffing.
the conspiracy theories on the right is like Hillary Clinton is eating children and wearing their skin and like shit like that. Whereas like the Blue Anon is like, oh, I'll bet Stephen Miller punched Elon for sleeping with his wife. Is they're not the same. Like they don't have the same punch. Um,
Yeah.
anyhow, before we get on to the last thing I wanted to talk about, RFK released his first Maha like health report. I don't even know what you call it. Did you see any? This was a good week ago, but did you see anything about this?
The only thing that I saw was that Trump just, I don't know if he signed something or he's warning scientists not to release any publications for any scientific journals without approval from the Trump administration.
They have to be cleared by the White House. Any new public published, science has to be approved by the. That's fascism. I don't know how to tell you otherwise.
100%
Yeah,
fascism.
that's just but I don't know. I I saw that report. I don't think he signed anything, but yeah, that's fascism. So but anyhow, RFK released his report. And so don't want to even pretend like I know a lot about AI. But like recently there's been a lot of court proceedings where one side will submit a brief and then they'll get caught that it turns out it was written by AI. And the reason they keep getting caught is because the AI will just make up cases to cite. It'll cite cases
Uh,
that don't exist, and that's how the judges are catching them. And that's now the telltale sign. If your report cites things that are totally made up, that means it was
Interesting.
AI. Apparently, AI just likes to like they need to support their case, so they just invent names. In this case law says blah blah blah. Anyhow, so
Weird.
so RFK released his first report. I didn't even read it. I don't even want to tell you what it was about because I don't know what it was about. But apparently, at the end, it cited like 13 studies, and seven of them were just completely made up. And it was real authors, so reporters immediately started contacting these the scientists and saying, "Hey, your work was cited in this RFK thing," and the scientists were like, I've never published a paper about that. Like that, I never even studied that. So it turns out the first report put out by Maha by RFK was completely written by AI. Again, I don't
And
even know
fake
what it
and
said.
false.
Yeah. So
Oh
anyhow,
my gosh.
speaking of AI though, there was a guy on Breaking Points like 2 days ago, and he's like one of the guys who's inventing AI right now. Like he's deep in it, and he was saying everybody keeps talking about, hey, we're 5 to 10 years away from AI taking over, and people keep thinking it's going to be like manufacturing and blue collar jobs. And he was sounding the alarm that like, no, no, no. We're 1 to 2 years away from AI, and it's not going to take blue collar manufacturing jobs. It's going to be white collar desk jobs, data analysis, customer service, all that.
Hmm.
And he was like, we are so close to it. And when you think about it, you look around, like I've gone into a McDonald's in the last couple of months where I walked in and you could not order from a person. There were screens in front of you where you
Yep.
ordered in your credit
You know
card
what I
and
do? I actually went into a Taco Bell not too long ago, and I don't eat fast food. I had to eat fast food in a long time. I walked in and I was like, "What is going on?"
Mhm.
And I walked up to the counter. I was like, "No, I'm ordering from you. I'm not ordering from this thing." Like, and
Yep.
and she was like, "Thank you."
Well, and that's so anyhow, so that's just sounding the alarm. The whole AI thing is going to be a problem in this economy. And that like not let's just people losing their jobs is bad, but like that's going to spiral our economy where all of a sudden unemployment spikes like whew. So get ready. We're heading in that direction. Speaking of
Well,
AI, okay, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, AI is very stressful. And I feel like it's gonna take over, and then there's gonna be a resurgence. Like there's gotta be, right? What are we gonna do? Are all these big businesses who are using AI like Taco Bell, like what if they have robots in the back making your tacos and delivering your tacos? Like, and there's like one person working at Taco Bell that puts like, 10 other people out of business.
The one person is
Or
monitoring the robots to make
yeah.
sure they do it
So then
right.
those 10 people don't have enough money to pay to buy Taco Bell. So then Taco Bell goes bankrupt. So there's a balancing act that they're going to have to figure out where AI can actually, you know, I mean, I feel like it's going to be a pendulum. It's going to swing, and we're all
Yeah.
going to be screwed. And then they're going to be like, "Oh, we got to get rid of AI. We got to start hiring real people because they can't afford to can't
But
afford to buy our stuff."
that's when Skynet happens, though, is when you try to get rid of AI. Like when you say, "Hey, sorry AI, we don't need you anymore," that's when it strikes back. So
No, I love to make tacos.
exactly, that's where we're at. So anyhow, speaking of AI, this is in my mind, this is the biggest story going down right now that nobody's talking about, and very few people are talking about. Okay, the Trump administration has contracted Palantir, and I'm probably not saying that right,
You're saying it right, Palantir. Yeah.
to create a national database that would track citizens' private data across all of government. Where did we get that data? This is the data that Elon Musk and Doge went in. Remember, we kept hearing they had hard drives and they were downloading everybody's data. So
Yeah.
that all this data is going to be used by Palantir. Now, what is Palantir, you may ask? It's an AI fueled tech company that has contracts with all sorts of NSA agents and the IDF of Israel. It uses AI to compile raw intelligence and build threat reports. That's the main thing. Its first major client back in the early 2000s, like really the first financial backer of Palantir was the CIA. Under George W. Bush, they contracted Palantir and like they basically did all the CIA files and data
Yeah.
collection. So that's how they got their.
And Peter Thiel is the owner of Palantir, right?
So last time you said, "Who's Peter Thiel?" And I had to remind you, he's the shiny guy. Um,
Yeah.
I saw a clip today that I had to pull just so we can show everybody who Peter Thiel is. And this is from a couple months ago. Remember when the guy shot the healthcare executive? Is that what was his name?
Luigi Mangione.
Yeah. So
Mangione.
so this is when that happened, and I don't know why, but this is the perfect video to show you of who is Peter Thiel. So check this out. This is from Piers Morgan.
And to those who think this shooter is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover, what would you say to them?
It's I don't know what to say. I think I still think you should try to make an argument, and I think this is you should, there may be things wrong with our healthcare system, but you have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people and change it by that. And this is not going to work.
Peter,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, there are all sorts of things one could say about it, but I don't think, and I think I think the motives feel. I don't want to go into all the particulars here, but I don't think there's anything heroic about him.
So watching that video, you can tell that he really hasn't put any thought into it at all. Like he's just basically terrified that he's next. But other than that, he hasn't thought about it at all. Like,
I don't know about you. I thought he really cleared things up there. I felt like that was pretty informative. So let me ask you a serious question here real quick. Who's weirder, him or Elon? Just as far as like awkward and doesn't talk well with others.
Oh, so seems a little weirder. Just that clip. I don't know if I've seen any more clips of him, but you know who's even weirder is Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Zuckerberg just has that.
Might be the weirdest reptile on planet Earth right now.
These tech bros are like interesting dudes. Like Elon is a fully functioning autistic person, and I think that's.
Sure.
I'm not trying to be rude. I think that he's on the spectrum. I think that's known. I might be wrong. Maybe that's not known. But Elon is odd. Peter Thiel is, and the shininess, like that's all. Like in that video, he's so shiny.
Well, there's for a minute there, all those like billionaires were shiny like that, and it was like, why are you so shiny? Did you just get a chemical peel on your face?
I don't remember Elon ever being shiny. I might have missed that period.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, but I do remember Zuckerberg being shiny, And
Yeah.
I remember it was like kind of going around. There was another guy, the other guy that was on Rogan. He was super shiny when he went on
Dude,
there.
when Zuckerberg went on Rogan the last time, he had like a perm and like a chain, and it was just interesting. It was like, what does this look like? What are we doing here?
He's trying to be gangster because he's such a dork. But
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, if you have that much money, I guess you're a gangster. I mean,
I guess
how many people has Zuckerberg killed? Probably people.
as
I'm
many as
guessing he's killed people.
half as many as the Clintons. I don't know. Okay. So
He's a
anyhow,
gangster, bro.
to get serious real quick about Palantir. I can't say their name.
Planned
Uh,
Parenthood.
so real quick, the right, like I've heard Joe Rogan talk about this a lot. I've seen everybody on the right talk about it. Like China does a thing where they do like a social credit score, and like the right's freaked out about that. They do not want that here in America, and because of that, because they all have like digital banking and stuff over there, like in China, like if you do things that the government doesn't like, they can like shut you down to where you can't get in and out of places, you can't
Yep.
access your money. So we don't like this. That is exactly what Palantir is going to try to build. They're going to combine our tax filing, student debt, Social Security, bank accounts, medical claims, immigration status, gun ownership, and social media posts. So they want
Yeah.
to combine all that into one database that the government's running. And
Yeah.
then I was
So
thinking about this.
just if we just had this episode up, we would be like at a negative rating
Oh
on their
God.
socials
Well,
because of
so here's the thing. There's been people forever that have been talking about like, oh, you got to have cash. Like, if you don't have cash, the government could try to, freeze your bank accounts and this and that. Well, Trump's trying to force everything over to crypto, which I know that's unregulated, but I don't really know how crypto works. And if we all move to a digital currency with this social credit system that Palantir is going to be running, then yeah, the America, if you say something that we don't like we're going to shut you down, just like China, just like the right's been afraid of forever. And now I guarantee you, they're going to cheer this on. Like, not only are they not going to be afraid,
well,
they're
our
going to,
banking system's already digital.
well,
Like
but
we're already
there's the people that believe in hoarding cash just in
sure,
case. So
sure, and that'll never go away. I mean, well, he's getting rid of the penny,
I
so
saw that. Apparently, that's a smart move. When I first saw that, I was like, what? But apparently, it costs us 2 cents to make every penny.
yeah,
So
yeah. And it costs us like 25 cents to make a nickel.
that's ridiculous.
It's,
We should
it's like
we should
stupid.
figure something about that out. So
Yeah.
but anyhow, let me think here. Sorry, I lost. I had too many things written down about this. Um, with Palantir, also, they have they're the actual guy that's running Palantir right now. I didn't pull any videos of him. I'll pull some for next time. But he seems like he's the bad guy in a movie.
Great. So who's Peter Thiel then? He's the
Peter
owner?
Thiel's he's the main financial backer.
Okay.
The guy that's the
And he's
CEO.
best friends with Elon, right?
Yes,
And
and
JD Vance.
yeah. So Peter Thiel kind of created JD Vance in a lab. So JD Vance, when he was doing his Wall Street stuff, apparently like was a hedge fund manager type thing for Peter Thiel, and then Peter Thiel like fully backed his Senate run. Peter Thiel and Elon are apparently the reason that JD was the VP pick. Like they strongly recommended to Trump.
That
So
makes sense. Okay.
yeah, he's
And
their
he has something to do with Junior as well.
yeah. Junior definitely was in with that group, and Junior was infatuated by all the Bitcoin type stuff, and that's kind of how they lured him in. So
Okay.
anyhow, so
I mean, it's just
Palantir,
the oligarchy like coming together in my head. I'm just like,
yeah.
oh, these pieces all coming together. Palantir's gonna make this thing. Elon's gonna put the thing on in our brain that's gonna
Mhm.
control us, and then like we're gonna have robots like running
Well,
the street murdering us.
so what Palantir, this is interesting. Palantir is trying to with Israel, they're doing a thing where they're using AI to monitor people's social media, and they can tell basically who has like Hamas sympathies based off their AI posts, and then they're wanting to like, I don't think they can go grab those people, but then they can watch those people. So they're wanting to institute the same kind of thing here. That's why they're going to integrate our social media post to this. So what the first thing that came to mind, you remember the movie Minority Report?
Mm-hmm.
So Tom Cruise, I don't know, it was probably 20 years ago, but the whole
Great
thing is
movie.
like they can predict the future and arrest people before the crime is committed, which there's a whole gray area there about, hey, if the crime hasn't been
Yeah, the little
committed,
ball rolls down and it has a
yep,
name on it. Yeah.
exactly.
Interesting movie.
So and they haven't said they're going to do this. I'm just reading into the future here, but with this, the government could see you just making posts, just talking about things you don't like about the current state of the government or America or what we're doing right now, and could like shut you down based off your post. It appears that you could be a dissident in the future, so we're going to shut you down now. Like that's the direction this is heading. So
Shut you down, arrest you, and send you to a prison in El Salvador.
yeah. So if you're worried about a fascist takeover, like I've said, I made it 4 months into the Trump administration without saying this is fascism. Like I tried so hard to be like, hey, people are using words here. They don't know what they mean. Like there's a couple red flags right
I said
now.
it before he was elected. He is full on going to be fascist.
And I was telling you that you were being dramatic and that you should calm down with that rhetoric. I'm just telling you right now, like there's some flashing red lights that are screaming like this is getting.
There's been flashing red
Yeah.
lights.
They're becoming harder to ignore.
There's been flashing red lights for a long
Yeah.
time, man. This is the problem. And the thing is people are running these red lights. They don't care.
Do you think there's any?
Like there's a lot of people that just don't care. Like, and it's all the Trumpers. Like
Yeah.
they're like, I don't understand where their brain is if they're just so cultish and they're so on the Trump train in this weird cult that they just don't. Do they not see it, or do they not care, or are they
I think
like
they don't see it
all for it?
because of the information bubbles. Like based off everything they're seeing all day long, like they can't believe there's anybody out there like you and me that thinks the way we do. Like they think we must be morons because everything they're seeing on TV and the internet is telling them that what they're thinking is correct. And again, you have this issue with people on the far left. You do. It's on the left and the right. You have that.
Sure.
There's information
Yeah.
bubbles. So,
But we have a friend who's a very smart. This is hard for me to say. A smart Republican, smart Republican. Okay,
yeah,
so hard to say.
he's in a bubble. I know who you're talking about. He's in a bubble.
Is that what it is? It's just
Yeah.
Fox News and AON and
There's
yeah.
been times where I'm talking to him and I'll be like, yeah, well, what about blah 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 blah, and he'll be like, that didn't happen, and then I'll have to pull it up and show him on my phone, and he's like, when did that happen? It's like you don't even know that this happened because what you're watching is not telling you the negative things. Like
Are they not curious? Are they not like, oh, let's see what's happening on CNN today?
they truly think that the left, any left leaning media is just lies, and also science is lies. Science and left leaning media lies.
That's the worst. Science is lies.
There is an Illinois Republican representative that I didn't pull the video of, that she did a little video, and she was saying that climate change is the work of the devil and blah blah blah, and then she went on to say that the Democratic Party was demonic, and I'm like, that sounds so batshit crazy, but like I know a lot of the people in her district probably totally are on board with that. She's in rural Illinois. It's like where Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Like they're down. Like they're totally down with whatever she has to say.
How did we get here, Andy? How did we get here? The rest of the world isn't like this, right?
No, it's getting there. Some of them are behind us, some of them are ahead of us, but yeah, we're all kind of moving in the wrong. How we got here, real quick, and I'll do some more homework on this so I can talk about it. But Cambridge Analytica, you might remember that name, but in like 2017, they were being investigated because it appears what we now know happened, and we didn't know. Jon Stewart had a lady on last night that was like the one who broke this whole story. By the Daily Show last night with Jon Stewart, he was going hard after Elon, and it was fantastic. But his guest he had on at the end, she's the one who broke the story about Cambridge Analytica, and Facebook illegally sold our data, like everything about us, even our private messages, to Cambridge Analytica, and then Cambridge Analytica used it for political ads targeted on Facebook and stuff. And like that's where the divisiveness really set in. Like we were already getting there, but like that's where they learned to pit groups against each other. And like that Cambridge Analytica was a blueprint. And now like in the most recent election, like both sides were using that blueprint. Like here's how you really rile up people to either vote for you or against the other guy or whatever it is. And it all started with Facebook selling data to Cambridge Analytica, and Cambridge Analytica used it in that way, and it worked.
So social media is to blame. 100%.
Yes. Dude, social media.
100% why our society is crumbling and falling apart is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Social media, the whole thing about it is people said it's going to bring people together. and it did. The problem is there's certain people that shouldn't find each other. Like if you were a Nazi 20 years ago, like you didn't really know who to talk to about it. So you just kind of kept it to yourself and you didn't do anything. And now you can go online and find a whole community of other Nazis. And then you start to feel a little bit more vocal about it. And
Oh,
you don't have to hide it anymore. So bringing people together is a double-edged sword, like for real. If you're a pedophile 20 years ago, you didn't know where to go to get things, and now there's the dark web where you can find places to buy things that will land you in prison.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So what do we do?
connecting people turned out to be bad. Who would have thought? It sounded so good 20 years ago. Bringing people together.
But if I go, okay, I'm getting off of all social media. Social media is the devil. I'm not using a computer anymore. I'm just gonna take pictures with film and I'm gonna start selling
Everybody
prints.
around you is still going to be on social media and be fighting, so it
Yeah.
won't matter. Yeah,
It's not gonna matter
yeah.
because we're all stupid and we're all gonna just like we're all just like turning this. It's like a what do you? It's like a witch's cauldron when they stir it. And they stir it really fast and it starts spinning, right?
Yeah,
And it spins into like a little tornado type thing, and we're all just kind of spinning in this thing and going downhill.
that's
Like
also a toilet. We're all just going right down the toilet.
we're just
So,
flushing ourselves
yeah.
down the toilet.
What's sad is there's a lot of people that are totally agreeable to like, hey, the government's trying to divide us or the media is trying to divide us. And like people will listen to that. But if you said, hey, actually it's social media and we could easily get rid of this by just all getting off social media, nobody's going to do that. They're going to, no, I don't think it's social media. Like
Yeah, well, we have a friend who
we're,
gets all of his news off TikTok.
he's the most informed person I know. So, yeah. Um, anyhow, okay. I'm gonna slide in two more things real quick. Are we doing all right on time?
We got 8 minutes left on this one.
Okay, real quick. I got one more image I need you to share for me. This is hysterical because Donald Trump. First of all, he has his iPhone, which he's supposed to. He's not supposed to have an iPhone because apparently you can't really encrypt those, and he's vulnerable to hacking. But he has an iPhone, carries it with him everywhere.
Okay.
He had his iPhone in his hand facing outward the other day, and a photographer got like a close-in shot of it. If you can pull this up real quick, you know how there's certain signs that people are weird. Like, for instance, Donald Trump loves his steak done well done.
Right. Yeah,
Like
with
that.
ketchup, right? Doesn't he
That's
ketchup with
yeah.
it?
Well done with ketchup. That's the sign of a
Ugh.
psycho. Can you
Yeah.
scroll it or can you zoom in on this at all? Okay. His lock screen on the phone is himself. Is that not a bit of a problem?
Why does it say 911?
Yeah, it was 9/11, I guess, AM or PM, I don't know. But
That's
his
not
lock
right.
screen
That
is a
can't be.
phone.
Hold on. I'm not sure if I'm by this right now. May 30th. Okay. So that was like 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
You can see
And
the picture. This is not being disputed. You can see the picture from afar, and then they have the zoomed in. He's standing at the podium. He's holding his
is,
phone.
is
That's
this the
the
real one? Because I mean, 9/11, that's kind of a weird, like if they
yeah.
actually took that photo exactly at 9/11, that's kind of weird, right?
It is, but like I said, this is not being disputed. The White House hasn't come out and said that this is wrong. It's been out for 2 days now. But it's just to me, it's another sign. The man likes his steaks well done with ketchup, and his lock
Yeah.
screen is a picture of himself. Do you know any grown men that their lock screen is a picture of themselves looking like stoic or awesome or anything?
No, but mine's about to change.
You know, are you gonna make it Trump or you?
Me.
Okay, yeah. So anyhow, again, that's one of those little red flags that this guy somebody actually there's like a psychological thing where like you're obsessed with yourself. You anyhow, somebody brought it up, but they're I think of all the things he has, what do they call it? Narcissistic something. Anyhow, all right, you
Yeah,
can get
he's a
rid of that.
narcissist.
All right, so the only other thing here, this is fine. I keep saying the last thing. This is really the last thing. The Ukraine conflict has been something I've cared about more than probably everybody else in America. But did you see Ukraine launched, they called it Operation Spiderweb, I believe. But did you see this whole sneak attack they did?
I saw they came up and they blew up a bridge
So they
that connected NATO or the Kremlin to.
Crimea to mainland Russia.
Okay.
So that actually happened on the second day. The first day was a different attack, and then like the next morning they did. Apparently they had like their equivalent, like Navy SEALs, like scuba dived up underwater and attached explosives to like the columns of a bridge and then swam away and detonated it. So awesome. But the
Hmm.
first thing they did, man, so real quick, go back. The shoe bomber. Remember the shoe bomber when we were like coming out of high school? The guy that tried to have like a bomb in his shoes, and
Yeah,
because
that motherfucker, that the reason we have to go through metal detectors and
yep,
TSA and all that stuff. Yeah.
reason we have to take
I
our shoes
remember.
off going through there. So part of that, like the terrorism side of that, is like even if he's not successful, now we have to be aware of shoes, and everybody's got to take their shoes off. And basically it scared us into like where else could people be keeping a bomb? So it's kind of
Mhm.
the mental terrorism side of things.
Sure.
Ukraine kind of accomplished that on Russia in the last couple of days. So and apparently this has been a year in the making. But they've had these. They keep calling them wooden sheds, but they're basically like, a container truck where it's like a container that you would see on the back of a train or on a ship, but they're being pulled by an 18 wheeler.
Sure.
Picture that, but made out of wood. And apparently the roof had like a false top. So like if you go inside of it, you look up and there's the roof, but there was like a foot of space like in between the roof where there was a false roof, and up in there was drones. Like a lot of drones with bombs attached to them. And so
Sweet.
they use this is also similar to the Israel using the pagers to get all the Hezbollah people. Like they used the Russian infrastructure. They like had their stuff shipped all the way across Russia by like unknowing drivers that were just taking a load of whatever. Turned out they were
Hmm.
hauling drones with bombs. But Russia strategically keeps their bombers. They have like 90 bombers, and like it's a big part of their nuclear arsenal. Like these
Right.
bombers, they release cruise missiles. They could do the nukes, and they keep them all the way up in Siberia. The thought is that they're so far away from anybody that could get to them. It's 3,000 miles from Ukraine. So they're safe. They don't even keep them in hangars or under concrete like structures. They're just out in the open in Siberia. Um, they shipped all their containers full of drones all the way over to that side of Russia, and then like clockwork, like a certain time hit, and like the false roofs like slid over, and the drones rose out and flew over, and they took out 41 of these big ass Russian bombers, which apparently these were not easily replaceable. They're in there.
Whoa.
They look like Cold War like era stuff. They have four prop engines on them, so they're not jets. They have like propellers.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
they are what. So Russia, every time Russia bombs Kiev and all the other cities, they fly these things from Siberia, and then before they turn into Ukraine airspace, they release cruise missiles, and the planes turn around. So the planes were never in danger. They never get close enough. But that's how they're launching all these missiles into Ukraine every night.
Mhm.
Is using these bombers. So
Interesting.
a success, like it like took out
Yeah.
half of their bombing fleet. Um, because of sanctions on Russia, like these are not going to be easy to rebuild. This will take years for them to build back up the strength. B, now Russia is in a panic. Russia is pulling over every 18 wheeler and inspecting stuff. Like it slowed down all their shipping lines. It people are afraid. The next day they hit the Crimean bridge, which is going to put that out of commission for quite a while. And then that night they were hitting Crimea with a shitload of like drones, bombs, everything. So anyhow, they've had a big 3 day offensive here. While this was going on, we had Lindsey Graham and it wasn't Chris Murphy. I think it was Blumenthal, Democratic senator, but they were both in Ukraine when these attacks happened. They were over there basically expressing support. They're drafting a bill right now that apparently has 82 senators signed on to it. That's going to be a sanctions package against Russia. They're going to confiscate $300 billion worth of Russian money that's in like European banks and use that money to fund Ukraine getting more missiles,
Oh,
weapons,
good.
whatever.
Good.
Um,
Well, we talked about this last time. We talked about how Ukraine just needed the go ahead from us
so
and the EU to go to Russia,
so
right?
here's where it gets fun. Ukraine said that they did not run this by us. They did not tell America. Some Republicans are mad. They're like, no, he should have. What's his name? Steve Bannon is pissed. He wants Lindsey Graham thrown in jail. Bannon was on Cuomo tonight, and even Cuomo was like, hey, that's fascism. Like, what you're saying is fascism. And Bannon was like, I don't care. He needs to be in jail because he thinks that Graham was in the know. Since Graham was over there, he thinks they probably told Lindsey. And let's just be real for a second. Yeah, I don't like all the whole like Trump is a Russian puppet,
This
blah blah
is
blah. Hold
war,
on,
my
hold on, hold on,
friend.
hold on. Back up real quick. The whole Trump is a Russian puppet. Tulsi,
Yeah,
she's close. Like, if you tell America you're going to do this, like, you got to have a lot of faith that nobody in the Defense Department or Tulsi or anybody like that is going to leak word of this to Russia. So I think it's a smart move on their part to not tell us this was going to happen. I think had they told us, odds are Russia would have been ready for it. I think.
totally.
Anyhow,
Totally. Yeah. Especially with Trump using an iPhone and
yep.
JD Vance using
Signal.
Signal.
Yep.
Yeah. Pete Hegseth. Like nothing's safe with us anymore. We can't
No,
we don't have any secrets over here anymore. It's kind of crazy.
it is.
But yeah, we talked about how they need to run it by us. But did you see that the, the EU is actually like gearing up for war with Russia? So I
They,
think
they've been doing
if
that for the last couple of months.
right, but they're telling their people, some of the people on the border of Russia right there, they're telling them to start stockpiling like 7 days worth of food just
Yeah.
in case.
Well, and I think that's Finland you're talking about, like on the
Yeah.
Finland border with Russia. And that's the whole conflict between Finland and Russia goes back 150 years.
Mm.
Finland was separate, then they were a part of Russia, then they were separate again, and it's been a back and forth. Um, but yeah, we're here's the thing. I like right now how America gets to kind of dictate who gets nuclear weapons and who doesn't. I don't know why I would rather I don't think every country should have nukes. Like that's just where I'm at, okay? So
Yeah.
the deal that America had with everybody was like, no, 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 like South Korea, you don't get a nuke. Japan, you don't get a nuke. Ukraine, you don't we took Ukraine had nukes in the 90s and we took them from them and we the deal we make is hey, we'll protect you. You're under our nuclear umbrella. You don't need a nuke because we're going to protect you. And now we're demonstrating with Ukraine that no, we're not. Apparently we're going to get out of this. We're going to back out. So if
Sure.
we are, this is something we really need to think about. America needs to think about. If we really want to step back, why are we protecting Europe? Blah 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 blah. Okay, but that means we don't get to tell everybody who gets a nuke and who doesn't get a nuke. So Japan, South Korea, Ukraine, any of the European countries, like expect them to start working on their own nuclear technology because the whole American nuclear umbrella that protected 60% of the world, like if we're not really going to defend them, like if Finland's going to get attacked and we're not going to have their back as a part of NATO, then they get to have a nuke. Like that's where it's at. So
We
if
haven't
you
completely dropped out of NATO yet, right?
no, we haven't, but we're making it pretty clear that if Russia and anybody in NATO gets in a war, we're probably not going to be on NATO's side. Like I feel like Trump's making that pretty clear.
You're right. You're kind of right. It's
Yeah.
interesting. But I mean, oh, that's crazy.
So if we're not going to be the protector, we don't get to say who gets to have a nuke and who doesn't. Okay. And
So
I
there's
like
there's two antagonists going to war right now, and we're on both of the antagonist sides. So there's two wars going on right now, big wars,
Israel
and
and
we're
Ukraine.
pretty much on the antagonist sides.
Yeah. Could you call what's going on in Gaza a war or not? Because I don't think you could call it a war.
No, because they're not really fighting back.
It's a slaughter. I
They
mean,
don't
that's all
have
it
they don't
is.
have any weapons.
Yeah, which they set up these new aid distribution sites that every time the Palestinians come to get aid, shots ring out from the Israelis. And they tried to deny one like 3 days ago. They tried to deny that any shots rang out and this and that. And then video emerged of the Israelis just opening fire on a crowd of people. I think 28 people died. And then they had to come out and say, okay, yeah, we were wrong. We did. We opened fire. And nobody really cares. Like it barely got mentioned. So,
Well, even Piers Morgan is on the
yeah.
side of the Nazis at this point. I mean, this is wild. The entire world, we all just need to start speaking up, and everybody needs to disband from Israel. We need to stop funding Israel. We as the American citizens, we need Israel to stop funding our government.
Yeah. I'm
Like for
telling you,
some reason, we allow Israel to pay our politicians.
there's a movement on the right now that is hey, America first doesn't mean we take care of Israel. Like that's their whole thing, and they're not big fans of Israel. And if that catches on, maybe Trump. I mean, Trump goes where the wind blows, so maybe Trump will because right now he's not kissing Israel's ass and doing everything they want as much as I thought he would be. He
Right.
still is to a degree, but
Yeah.
he's being
With
better than I
Iran.
thought. Yes.
Yeah, he's doing better, but I think he has I had this like kind of weird daydream about this, and I was like, okay, so he's kind of giving in to Iran. He's making a deal with them, a nuclear deal with them right now, right?
Okay.
But like, what if this is just him kind of playing games? Like he's doing this and then he's gonna blow it up and then be like, no, you know what, whatever, like we're gonna bomb you. And so it's gonna be a reason for the US to bomb them. Like he's gonna make up a point where they didn't adhere to what we wanted in this deal. And he's gonna blow up the deal and he's gonna start bombing them.
So 50-50. I think that if he had his way, what all Trump, because Trump came in and said, "Oh, we're going to start making all these deals," and that's his whole persona is that he
Sure.
makes deals. Okay, and right
It's
now,
so stupid.
dude, right now he is so desperate for a deal. So if he can get a deal with Iran, like he will hold it up in front of
Okay.
everybody and say, "Look how great I am! I got a great deal," and it'll turn out to be the exact deal that Obama had. But whatever. But for the most part, right wing echo chamber will say this is a great deal. Trump negotiated a deal that nobody could have negotiated before, except for the fact that we already had it. Either way, but
He
if
destroyed it.
here's the other 50% though, if the right doesn't buy into this, if they say no, we're standing firm, Iran does not get to have a nuclear program, and then Trump, because right now all the negotiations going on are about them having civilian nuclear programs. So if they get to Trump and Trump says, okay, never mind, change the deal, take out the civilian nuclear program, that's a hard red line for them. They're going to say no. And then he might say, well, we tried to negotiate. Now it's time to bomb them. I don't know. I think he'd rather have the deal, but if he gets forced to, then your scenario could play out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, interesting. On a similar but same note, did you Tulsi Gabbard is trying to get like Fox News style
my
briefings for
God, I saw
Donald Trump
this.
because he's only read 4 daily briefings since he's been in office.
So this was a story
He's
the
been in
whole
office for over 100 days, and they have a daily briefing every day, and he's read 4 of them. This
so
is how much he hates reading. He
dude,
doesn't read.
so this was the whole first administration. We kept hearing this, and remember there were all the things where like they found that if they put his name in it a whole lot, he'll tend to read it more because it's about him. And then they at some point they realized, oh, if we put pictures in, I think it was H.R. McMaster said pictures. He likes pictures. Keep putting pictures in. But they can't get the man to read his daily briefing, and that's like according to W and Obama and all the other presidents, like the daily briefing is the most important part of your day. You wake up and you get briefed on everything that's going on in the world, any threat assessments, and like Trump doesn't care about like from all reports, he's watching Fox and Friends, and they come in and try to give it to him, and he's like, "Yeah, no, just read it to me while I'm watching the TV," and they're reading it to him, and he's not paying attention. He's just watching Fox and Friends, and that's what several people have said that. So what you're talking about, Tulsi had the idea, which really it's ridiculous they're having to do it. But when you think about it, if all we're trying to do is get Trump to take in this information, it's actually a pretty good idea. Um,
Well, they're
she want
talking about like hiring Fox and Friends like hosts
yeah
and a producer to produce his daily
yeah
briefings,
they're gonna have to give
which
whoever
means they're gonna have to get security clearance,
yes,
right?
they're gonna have to give security, and they're every morning at like 6 a.m. A on-air personality, a host, and a cameraman, and all them are gonna have to come over, and they're gonna film it like a 30-minute news show and try to sensationalize it, and then they're gonna play it for him, and it'll be just like he's watching Fox News, except it'll be his daily briefing. And they haven't said they're gonna do it yet. It's just an idea that Tulsi came up with, and they're kicking. Apparently, Tulsi or somebody in the State Department did approach Fox about it, just throwing it out there. How could we do this? And that's where they're at right now. Is they're
How
seeing
much
if
is
there's
that
a
going to cost us? That's the question.
I'll say this: I don't care as long as that. Like we need the president to be getting his daily briefing. That's important. The fact that he doesn't care is hysterical to me, but like scary as well.
It's super scary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably he probably would have known that Ukraine was going to attack
Now,
Russia, but he doesn't
apparently,
do his daily briefing.
all that's what people are upset because people are like, "Whoa, like how good is our intelligence if we don't even know what Ukraine is planning? Like we're on their side. We did not see this coming at all, and
We're
they've been
not on
playing.
their side. We are not on their
Yeah,
side.
we're really not
That
right
they're
now.
not giving us any intelligence. I wouldn't. If I was them, I wouldn't give us any intelligence. The way he treated Zelensky in the office, in the Oval
Yeah,
Office, they're not giving us any information.
yeah. And
That's yeah. That's
if they had told America they were going to do this, Trump would have told them no. He would have told them they can't do it. We're having peace talks. You can't do it. While at the same time, Russia is firing missiles into cities every single night. But we would have, for some reason, told Ukraine, no, 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 you can't do that. Which we've been making Ukraine fight this war with one arm tied behind its back pretty much the whole time. Like
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Let them loose. And that's the thing. If America gets out of the picture, they're going to be opened up to do a lot more. That we've been telling them no, you that would cross a line. You can't do that. And yeah, maybe it's better for them if America gets out. As long as if Europe can keep the flow of missiles, it's mainly missiles and ammunition that they need.
Mhm.
If they can keep up with that without us, then probably for the better.
Are they getting their missiles from us though?
No, so they're France and Germany make missiles, and apparently they make them well. And they're the
Okay.
ones that they're gonna basically teach Ukraine to start producing their own missiles. That way, they can launch them deep into Russia, and Russia can't get mad at France or Germany because the weapons are coming from Ukraine. Just like
Yeah.
apparently Ukraine is making drones at record pace right now. Like they are the drone leader of the world. They're
Oh,
cranking
good.
them out. So
Now we just need to figure out Gaza.
yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Again, I said it last time, and I said it several times. This isn't going to end well for the Palestinians. Like, there's no scenario where Israel at this point like backs out and lets them rebuild where they are. Like, that's not going to happen.
So we just wipe them off the face of the earth.
Yeah, it's already too far gone. We've already gone too far. You can't stop now. Like, they're gone. The only hope they have for any kind of a good future is that some country agrees to take them. America is going to have to work this out and get one of these Muslim countries to take all of them as refugees.
Well, what if NATO decides like Israel's in the wrong and like we're going to war with Israel?
Good luck.
NATO's going to war.
That ain't happening. What if? It ain't happening.
Why wouldn't like France and Germany and all the EU?
The most that if it came down to it, the most they would do is sanction Israel, and Israel would not mind. Like the UN is going to write a strongly worded letter telling them how upset they are about what Israel's doing. Like that's where we're at.
Like a Chuck
Yes,
Schumer.
a very strongly worded
We're
letter.
gonna pull a Chuck Schumer.
Yep. So if you're a Palestinian right now, your only hope is that you leave Gaza and go to some third party country as a refugee. And
They
right
don't
now
wanna leave
there's
the country.
there's no
They don't
country
wanna
that
leave.
there's no country that will take them, so it doesn't matter. They don't want to leave, and
Even if
nobody's.
there was a country that would take them, they don't want to leave. They
Then
want their land. That's their land, right?
then they're going to die there. And I don't like that. I'm just telling you that's their two options. Right now, I don't see anything stopping them from either dying there or leaving, but those are the only two options. Them living a happy life, and just like Abrego Garcia, he ain't coming back. The guy in El Salvador, the Maryland man or whatever, like he ain't coming back. It's not happening. And
What if Jesus comes back, Andy? Could Jesus save us all?
if Jesus came back right now, the right would call him a hippy dippy liberal. They would not like him at all.
Israel would kill him.
Jesus' first thing would be we need to open all of our borders and take in the poor and the sick from all over the world. And the right would lose their mind, and he would be in El Salvador. He'd be at that prison in El Salvador.
In the El Salvador
immediately.
prison.
Yeah, it's fun to joke around about, but it's really one of those things where I want to talk to a religious person because like the teachings of Jesus Christ don't fit in well with like the modern American Republican movement at all. Like
Zero.
it makes no
Zero.
except
The
for
left
abortion.
is way
Hold on.
closer to.
Except for abortion, that's the big one. But then
Maybe.
everything else, it's like
But it's not. So the left is. I mean, but the left, sure, they're like, okay, abortions are fine, right? If you're in your first, couple months of pregnancy, like get an abortion. But like for the most part, the left is fighting for the women who are having issues. Like the people in Texas
yeah.
are like the women in Texas are leaving Texas to go get an abortion. They're going across the border to get an abortion. I'm not really sure where they're going, but now Greg Abbott is like he's doing the same thing like Palantir is going to do, and
Trying to create a database, track your
he's
periods.
he's trying to create a database of women in Texas who have got abortions, and I don't know what he's going to do with that, but if he's going to start prosecuting women, like we're in a whole nother mess.
So the way Texas has it to where you can sue somebody in a civil court for getting an abortion, and they've already done it a couple times, but it's not a criminal penalty; it's a civil penalty, and that's how they get around different stuff. I don't know. I'll say this on the whole abortion thing. We talked about it before, but Democrats are terrible at messaging, and like Republicans have won that messaging battle. Like they do the whole like. Democrats think that you should be able to get abortion all the way up until the moments before birth. And like everybody believes that. And it's like, well, hold on. That's not really what Democrats,
The only reason we believe that is if it's in danger of the mother, right?
Again,
and the child, right? There's like
no Democrat has successfully gone out and argued that to a point where America believes it. So
So bad.
the Republicans have won that messaging. Most random people, if you saw them in the street, they say, "Oh yeah, Democrats want abortion all the way up to the last minute," and that they've heard Trump say that a lot. It makes sense.
Trump was saying that even after the birth.
Yeah. Well, there
He
was
said
that
that multiple
because
times.
there was one. It was a governor of Virginia, and he went on a radio show, and they were basically asking him about if it was a failed abortion and the baby was still born, like what would you do? And he said we would make sure that the baby's comfortable while we had a discussion with the doctor and the mother, because he didn't know what to say there. And by saying that, they were like, "Well, hold on, wait. The obvious answer is that the baby gets to live. You don't kill the baby now." But he didn't say that. He said we'd have a discussion, which
Right.
that guy, and he came out. He basically left that radio studio, and his people were like, "What the hell?" And then he came out and issued a new statement, kind of cleaning up what he had said. But that's all it took.
Mhm.
He said that
Yep.
on a radio. That tape exists. And if Trump says, "Oh, they want to be able to do it till after birth," here, listen to this. This was a governor, Democratic governor, said
Yeah.
this. So he's got him there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, yeah.
bad messaging.
Bad messaging. The Republican or the Democrats are full of bad messaging,
Yep.
and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are on the top of that list.
It's a shame because you know who their best communicator is by far?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg by far, but he's gay. Doesn't bother me, but I'm just telling you, it would bother enough Americans to where he ain't getting elected. I hope I'm wrong. I'd
Tim
love.
Walz is Tim Walz is sticking his neck out right now too.
That's the thing is
AOC, Bernie Sanders, Tim Walz, Buttigieg.
there,
Those are my top four.
there's been a couple different functions recently where, like, if you're thinking about running for president, you show up at this function, and like the people that are showing up, I'm not too big on right now. Pete, yes. Walls, I think Walls has too much baggage. He didn't do good in the VP debate. I don't know if I want to see Walls. I don't think Walls could win. I only want to see people I think could win nationally.
He
And
bad in one debate. That's
but
fine.
he ended up being a drag on the ticket with Kamala because he
Well, they
lied.
didn't let him loose. That's the problem. They didn't.
They didn't let him
They
loose, but
they toned him down.
he got caught in the whole Tiananmen Square thing where he said he was there. Turns out he was there like 6 weeks later. He
He
said
saw the aftermath.
you know, a weapon of war, a weapon of war like I carried onto the battlefield when it turned out he was never in live battle. So and
You carried in training.
the thing is he could have gotten out of those had he had a good response, and he never formulated a good response to that. So that's on him.
Fine.
He did not respond well. He tried to keep like pushing those off, like it's not a big deal. No,
But
you need to
the
run into that
Democrats
head
keep
on.
the Democrats keep pushing what's his name in California?
Newsom,
Newsom.
no,
They
he ain't
keep
gonna
pushing
win.
him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, 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 not that
You know,
sleazeball.
there's a senator from like Connecticut, maybe his name's Chris Murphy, and he's a younger guy.
Heard
He's a
that
good
name?
talker. I don't love him, but you can throw him in there. I'd like to see what he could do, like through the debates and all that. But
Okay.
Pete and Chris Murphy, and then I think you're going to have. I think that the governors are going to be late additions because right now the governors have to worry about their states and working well with the federal government, so they can't really be shit talking Trump right now. But you're going to have Andy Bashir from Kentucky, the guy from Pennsylvania, the Jewish guy. I can't think of his name right now to save my life. And you're going to have Whitmer from Michigan,
Oh, are you talking about
Shapiro.
he was like, oh yeah, Shapiro.
Yeah,
Ugh, I didn't like him.
those three are going to be front runners. I'm not saying one of them is going to win, but as soon as those three jump in, they're going to be in the lead group with Pete and maybe Chris Murphy.
AOC is in there.
AOC, I don't know that she runs.
I they can't put another woman up, can they?
I don't know. I like I said, she's not. A lot of them are starting to go to these functions they should go to if they're going to run, and she's not doing that. And I'm starting to think that she wants to go Senate first. She wants to do it the right way. I have no problem with that. But go Senate
Okay.
first, put in your time in the Senate, then go for the presidency, which,
Yeah. The I don't think the Democrats can put up another woman for a while.
yeah, it's got to be a white male next
I
time,
think
which
I think they botched their first two women. They just botched it with poor choices, and
Hillary was a bad
messed it too
choice.
well. Hillary was a bad choice, and they didn't give Kamala enough time to like sell herself to the American people.
Yeah.
She didn't set herself apart from Biden. So I don't know. They didn't have a good plan with Kamala. Like I said, they toned Tim Walz down, and they didn't let him like he came out swinging, right? He came out
Yeah.
swinging with the what was his thing? The weirdo thing when he was calling them
Yeah.
all weird.
Called them weird, and then they told him to stop
And
that.
that was working, and they told him to
Yeah.
stop, and they told him to settle down. They told him
I
not to.
There was a thing
Yeah.
too where Kamala, I saw this just today, but Kamala's two most popular ads were right at the beginning where she was talking about the price of housing and going after landlords and like people that own properties and like, getting them
Mhm.
to stop raising rent and this and that. And
Right.
like that was really popular. And then billionaires on the left basically got a hold of her campaign and were like, hey, like Ixnay, like we own apartment buildings and shit and we don't want to. So they, everywhere along the way, the billionaires stepped in. Even at one point, she was talking about going after corporations, and Mark Cuban, who I like, stepped in and said, "Hey, you're scaring all the corporations. We got to tone this down." And so everything she was saying that was really catching on with like the populist left, they stepped in and convinced her that, hey, you can't do this. And I'm starting to think, no, she shouldn't have listened to Cuban. She shouldn't have listened to the billionaires. She should have just run the populist left, which I was not at the time. I would have told you, no, she needs to go more to center. Looking back, I was wrong, and I think her only chance was to run further to the left than she did. She tried to.
Fuck the
She
billionaires.
they really thought that she could get some Republican swing voters, some Republicans that don't really like Trump, and they could convince them that hey, Kamala's right in the center, and they none of those people made the jump over. Like that was their play was they were trying to get the center left and then even some of the center right to come over, and it didn't work.
Fuck the billionaires.
Yeah, the billionaires need to get out of both sides. They're clearly a problem on the right, and they're also clearly a problem on the left. Why are the billionaires making all these decisions? It doesn't make sense.
It
It's because
makes
they got
zero
money.
sense.
It's because they got money. I know why. But it's just it's fun to ask
It's
them.
money, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, fuck the politicians, fuck the billionaires, fuck this class of people who are running us. Like
Yeah.
we are the people, right? And there's way, way, way more of us than there are of you.
Problem is, the billionaires can trick us into voting against our own interest by bringing up like transgenders in sports or abortion or race stuff. Like
They're not
that's how they do
tricking
it.
me. They're not tricking the left. They're tricking
Well,
the
I'm just saying
uneducated.
it's working. Like yeah.
They're tricking the uneducated.
You have
This is the problem.
the whole like the rural red America, the Christian conservatives out in the middle of nowhere are voting like yeah, tax cuts for the billionaires, and it's like what? And they're like gung ho about it. It's like all right, okay, whatever.
Well,
You
and
bet.
that's the thing. And then they're going to cut the education even more so that more people are going to be stupid and vote Republican.
Yeah.
This is their whole thing. This and gerrymandering. This is how they win elections, right?
The
You
culture
cut
war stuff.
education.
The
What?
Republicans use the culture war stuff to their benefit so well, and what's great about it is then they point at the left and go, "All the left is always talking about is the culture war," and it's like, "No, you guys have figured out." It's okay, good work, Republicans. So, all right,
Frustrating.
we got to hop off, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, like, subscribe, leave us a comment.
Don't
Tell
forget to
us,
call your local representatives.
call your local representatives. Yes, I'll put the
Local?
phone number in the description.
Got it. All right, later, buddy.
Later.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.